When I was a kid, my mom would get on these dieting or exercise kicks, and I can't tell you how difficult it is to do typical exercise routines when you live in the middle of the wilderness. It's a lot more complicated than you think. You see commercials on TV of women power walking around their neighborhoods in stretchy pants and stuff like that, dumbbells in hands, looking all stylish with their headphones on, chugging along like choo-choo trains to Bon Jovi or who knows what music. In these commercials, or when you see this on TV, you know what I'm talking about. They're all zoned in and focused on their exercise. Well, you just can't come anything close to that when you live in the woods. There are no sidewalks. Walking with your ears plugged up and blasting audiobooks or music would be suicide. We country folk don't drive those back roads all tender and careful like. We go ripping through those hills and hollers like Dukes of Hazzard. I remember my ex-wife complaining about me driving like this whenever I'd go back home, and I'd tell her, honey, I've driven these roads 19 trillion times, and there's nobody else on the road. And if there were, they'd be driving the same way. Everybody out here drives these roads that way. It's not just me. So, like I say, we're talking about roads here where a single truck or a single vehicle comes along about every 20 or 30 minutes. That's the reality how that is. We're not talking about back streets in some suburb where you have 10 cars a minute drive through. Anyway, I remember my mom getting on these exercise kicks and power walking up and down our dirt road a couple miles each way, and I always felt a little sorry for her because our living conditions just weren't really made for that. Thinking back to these girls in the commercials who are power walking through their neighborhoods with their tights on and stuff, how many biting horseflies and snakes and other critters do you think those girls are having to contend with? If you remember, it's not just my mom who would get on those exercise kicks and out there and do things like that. I myself did it once, and I've told you about it. It's the time that my dog Bink saved my life from that murderous monster of a black dog that broke free from its chain and was about to kill me. That was up the road outside crazy old man Andy's shack. Well, back to my ex-wife Diana, who's a city girl. We're back in Appalachia visiting the family one summer, and we all decided to take one of these walks up the old dirt back roads. It was right about dusk, so the sun had probably already set. It was getting dark, sunlight was fading, and we got about a half a mile away from the house when we saw something on the road up ahead of us, some kind of varmint or critter. And Diana's looking ahead. She's trying to figure out what it is, and I'm looking ahead. I'm trying to figure out what it is. And then I realized that it's a possum. Yeah, possum. Diana got so excited over that possum, and I distinctly remember her saying that the only possums she had ever seen were roadkill. She had only ever seen him squashed on the road. She had never in her life seen a live possum. So I said, well, come on, let's get a closer look. And she said, really, we can do that? Aren't they dangerous? And I said, well, we're not going to be trying to tickle its belly or anything like that, but we're going to get close. Come on. And we run up on that possum, and we got right up close to it. And do you know what happened when we did? It dropped dead right in its tracks. Just fell over dead. Now, this is exactly what I knew the possum was going to do, and probably what a lot of you suspected that the possum was going to do. But for Diana to see that happen in real life, she was absolutely delighted. It lit her up like a Christmas tree. Of course, we're not talking about the possum literally dying, but rather pretending to die very, very convincingly. Just suddenly dropped over, tongue hanging out and everything. Diana said, I can't believe they really do that. They really do it exactly like you see it in cartoons. I wish I could show you the delight on her face. I wish I had a picture of that. But it's something that's preserved only in my memory. I nudged the possum with my boot to show her how convincingly dead the possum could act. And then I said, watch this. And I took her, we backed up a ways. We gave the possum some space and time. And sure enough, Once the possum felt safe, he'd right back up on his feet and on his way like nothing had ever happened. And this, of course, sent Diana into this fresh new wave of joy and delight and wonder all over again. There's nothing like a shared experience, is there? Even though a lot of time has passed since Diana and I were together, these shared experiences and memories continue to be real treasures. Consider, for example, that she's also out there somewhere, remembering every now and again that experience with the possum. The first time in her entire life she ever saw a live possum, and I was there. How it dropped over dead, and how I was there. How thrilling that was for her, and of course, who she was with, and the circumstances surrounding those moments. There will never be a repeat of that. It's something she shares only with me. So, of course, it's something that I remember and think back to often as well, and it's something special that will belong to only the two of us for as long as we're both alive. In David Miller's book, AWOL, on the Appalachian Trail, he says, experience is enriched by reliving it, contemplating it, and trying to describe it to another person. So there you go. You've all just helped me enrich an already very rich and treasured experience. Orange Slices are brief highlights from the Last Symptom podcast. Subscribe to full audio episodes of the show on any major podcast platforms such as Spotify, Pandora, iTunes, Amazon Music, and more. While I've got you chewing on that, like this video, pretty please. Might as well press subscribe while you're at it. I bet you a nickel you know somebody who's overdue for hearing some of these things, so go on, forward this video to them.